I'm back, and I brought
Gifts.
gifts for me. Yeah, well, I will still show you what I got here. My friend made this awesome jelly for me. Yeah, it's my cupcake. This is so cool. I really freaked out when I got it. It looks exactly like my cupcake. I will place it right here, next to Luna, so they can both silently judge my work. Now to the next gift. I got this from a friend of mine. I'm happy I got it, but the color is just not it. And since customizing something is on my to-do list, I thought this would be a nice opportunity. I first thought of making some random cute animals. But then, as I was laying awake in bed, I thought,
why easy when I can make it hard and exhausting?
So the next day I made this detailed sketch. The idea is to wrap Shenlong around the cup, but I was too lazy to sketch it. Back to the cup. Let's shake some base color on. Very nice. Now we need some blue paint. Yummy. And we paint. I want it to sort of look like a sky. Since we need to sculpt a tiny head again, this time I decided to make that first. Look at how tiny this is. It's a miniature. Shaking is the way to go today. So we shake some clay on and let's get some chill sculpting. I sketch his eyes on to get a better understanding to where I will place his front hair pieces. And I can start adding different sized worms to his head. I shake some smoothness on and attach his ears. Now we can get to his unrealistically buffed child body. Starting with a squared piece of clay, I build up his outfit. I make sure that his pecs are visible and continue with adding some folds. We obviously need a belt, and after this is done, I can give him a nice hot oven experience. Now we can get to painting before sculpting the rest of his body. I paint his white skin in a white skin color and his orange gi in an orange color. And black for belt and hair. I give his mouth some details and add color to his eyes. Now we need to figure out the leg situation. Quite challenging actually. They need to be
Thick.
since his uniform is so wide on the legs. So even though they look disproportionate, they could actually be right. For the perfect folds, don't let anyone watch first, and then refine the details on camera. This always gives the best results. Now we can attach his tiny feetsies and carefully smooth out the junction. I make everything extra smooth and print free and can now bake it. Back to shaking some base color on and we can finish his body. I prepared this fluffy looking cloud that I will paint in a much too orangey yellow. So I repaint it in a more yellowy yellow. I almost forgot to add his arms, and here I thought I was almost done. So I attach 2 sausages and make his hands lay on his legs. His hands will be closed in a fist, so I use my sharp silicone brush and make some lines to separate the fingers. I carve out his wristbands, bake everything and go back to painting. I start with a nice yellow background to paint the turtle kanji on the chest. I try to make a nice and clean black outline before proceeding with the kanji. And I think it turned out quite nice. To paint his arms, I think we can use some shortcuts. I attached the head to the body and I now feel like his face is slightly off. I don't know, I think his mouth should have been slightly closer to the nose and so his face would have been shorter. But it's too late to change that now, I've been already working too long on this one. So I just have to hide his face or zoom out far enough so that no one will see that. Let's move on to the cloud. I want to make her look like she's floating, so I add some clay to the bottom and attach her to the cup. And we're almost done here. I glue our little somewhat off Goku on the cloud and fill up the spaces with cloud fluff. Paint it and our imposter Goku looks like he's sitting on his cloud. Dragon time! I start with my favorite distorted sausage shape and add clay to form the head. There is no real plan to what I'm doing. I guess there are 1,000 better ways to sculpt a dragon head, but I like to add tiny pieces of clay and seeing how it slowly gets its final form. I pre-baked some teeth and can now perform a dental implant. I was thinking about different methods to make the scales for the dragon. I was debating with myself whether or not I would make them like my mermaid, but since this one is way bigger and it would possibly look too realistic, I decided to roll the skin texture on. I guess this is good enough. I made 2 different sizes, a smaller one for the head and one for the body. I roll that texture on the face and give it some last details. I also see if I can reach the brain through his nose. I want to pre-bake his horns so I can later easily shove them into his head. I give them a wooden texture by simply carving some lines in. Next, I also want to pre-bake the scales, so I make random triangles of different sizes. Now I can make the body. I prepare a wire, wrap it around with foil to make sure it is warm and cozy, and put another warming layer of clay on. I carve in some guiding lines to then add the clay on the right places. Now I can roll on my texture, add that last details before inserting all those scales I baked before. Attaching the head was actually quite the process, took me some time. I guess it would have been smarter to sculpt the head on an already long piece of wire instead of separating head and body. But we don't do smart here. Last thing to sculpt, his arms. I give him 8 fingers in total and with a bit of smoothing, manicure and texture, we are done. And finally, painting time. There is little to explain here. I use a dark green for the upper part and dry brush some lighter green on to accentuate the scales, and go on with the red for the middle stripe and eyes and a light brown for the belly part. So I will just shut up for once until we are done. And I guess we are ready for the beauty shades.